focused on nurturing happiness in personal and professional lives of many people. He has founded Happiness Technology with the vision to inspire people to realize their full potential and live a meaningful and happy life. His programs are a blend of his learnings from corporate leadership, neurosciences, modern research, and the principles of ancient wisdom. Dr. Arun has inspired inner transformation in more than 300 plus corporate and academic institutions all over Asia, Europe, and Africa with his engineering happiness programs. He's been a guiding force to more than lakh business leaders and youth worldwide in their pursuit of excellence. He was conferred with the Friend of Africa Award for the social impact at Pan Africa Humanitarian Summit in the year 2019 for his Inner Engineering Happiness Tour of Africa and inspiring 1 million Smiles in Africa campaign. I welcome you here today, sir, on this auspicious occasion. We are very much glad to have you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. Namaskar. Usually do not like to hide behind podium, so I can show off my new shirt and my jacket. I'm going to stay here. It's such a blessing to be here among all of you. And Dr. Didi, I think she has moved out, but what a phenomenal work that S-VYASA is doing. And before I start my topic, I just want to share this with all of you youngsters who are taking the work that has been done until now to the next level. We talk about health management, but what is happening in the world is not actually health management, it is disease management. And all of you youngsters, you have this phenomenal opportunity to actually make that word health management really meaningful. And I hope some of you or all of you will pick something from my presentation also. And together, we will take my ideas to the next level. I am a practitioner, so you will not see a lot of numbers and skew ratios on my slides. You will see more entertaining pictures, but based on research and evidence. And my hope is, where my research journey ended, some of you will start your research journey so we can add to the happiness quotient of the world. Are you with me? Great. These days when our laptop or phone shows low battery, we run towards the power socket as if our life depended on those equipment. Isn't that true? We want to have the best of operating systems in our phone. Our laptop should have the recent latest patches because we are aware that if we don't have the best of operating system and the recent latest patches, our system performance is not going to be very good. And we also know that hackers can attack us if we don't have the latest patch. We are so aware about the operating system of our phone or laptop. But what about the most significant operating system of all? Our inner operating system. Do we ever get taught about it? Are we worried about it? Upgrade that operating system? Do we put patches on that operating system? This is that operating system which is sensing the world for us. Not only sensing, it is interpreting those sensory inputs. And then, based on those interpretations, it is creating either a feeling of happiness and sorrow. And this is the operating system that never gets talked about. I was working with corporates worldwide, Motorola, Samsung, Bell Labs, Dell Computers, and I saw that these brilliant minds are not able to work on their peak performance state because of they do not know how to maximize performance of inner operating system. You can have everything in the world, but if there's no peace inside, you know that you are not be able to work at your peak performance mode. I want to leave you with this thought because all of you are youngsters. And this is where practical world meets our inner world. And Didi said something very beautiful. We can alter or change or beautify outer nature with science and technology. But the inner nature, we have to utilize what our sages have given to us. Meditation, yoga, those kind of techniques. Have you ever thought what creates our destiny? What you are going to become 15 years, 20 years from today? All that will depend on what kind of actions you take in your life. And I want you to think, what triggers actions? It is the choices we make. What makes us make those choices? Our thoughts, of course. We think, make choice, and act. Sometimes that thinking is consciousness, conscious mind, or sometimes it is instinctive. Have you ever thought what triggers thoughts? You are all yoga students. Yoga is Chitta Vritti Nirodha. But what creates thoughts? Feelings. And feelings are triggered by the sensory inputs we are receiving. This is topic for some other day. But how we are feeling, if I'm in a good mood, the person serving tea spills that tea on me, I'm more likely to say, "Arey yaar, gir gayi tumse." If I'm in a bad mood, feeling somewhere, I'm going to be angry, frustrated. The thoughts of negativity will get triggered because I'm not feeling good right now. And I hope you are, in your back of mind, mapping it to whatever you are learning in mindfulness, relaxation technique, yoga, etc., etc. So if the cycle starts with, I am feeling good, everything else becomes positive. I hope you will write it down somewhere on your book, that our personality, how we feel, how we think, how we choose, creates our personal reality. So whether it is corporate or whether it is personal life of all of you, if we are wanting to do something else, if we are wanting to change our personal reality, we have to improvise, modify, change our personality. I am sharing all this with you. After 25 years in corporate, me and many friends of mine like me, we realized that when we have reached to the last rung of the ladder, you often hear this term called corporate ladder. When we reach the last rung of the ladder, we realized that the ladder was leaning against a wrong wall. And that's where the transformation started. I was successful. Corporate job, making a lot of money, more than probably I was working for. But something was missing. And this is where that second life for me started. A journey from success to significance. And this is what became fundamental of what changed my life course from a corporate citizen to a researcher in happiness. I've spent last 10 years researching happiness because of that realization. So what is significance then? I realized that in the corporate life, and you are going to think of your own personal life, your home, and probably you'll agree with me. I realized life is all about work hard, achieve success, and then you'll be happy. At home also, some of you are very young. When you're in 10th grade, parents say, work hard, achieve success. 10th ho gaya na, fir life ban gayi. Then you get into 12th. Same conversation starts again. 12th, work hard. Because this is the year when you'll get the stream that you want. Ek baar wo ho gaya na, fir life ban gayi. Then you get into professional education, then you get into a job. In job also, same thing. Manager will say, work hard. You will achieve success and you'll get bonus. Fir life ban gayi. Cycle continues. Right? And you realize that work hard, achieve success. The moment before we even start rejoicing, enjoying that movement, we start setting up our next goal. They say how much money is enough. And after a lot of research, they found out little more than what you currently have. And I saw this happening in the corporate. Unfortunately, in India, country that is considered spiritual guru of the world, has largest number of depressed executives now. Of psychosomatic diseases now. So I thought something here. We are not able to apply our ancient wisdom. As I mentioned, I'm more of a practitioner. My passion in life is threefold. Number one, I want to get you to realize your inner awesomeness. If I can get the best version of yourself out of you, that's my mission in life. Second, I want all this knowledge that we have in academia and research, all these research papers, fascinating. People have spent life, they never see light of the day. I want to bring that knowledge out of the research papers into practical joys of life. And the third one, a very selfish objective. I want to leave all of you happier than I found you. That's it. That's simple life mission. So if this is not working in corporate and in our home, what should be the alternate method? And when I was researching, because it was more of a quantitative research followed by exploratory research, this is the model that I realized would work. And nature has supported this model, where living happy is the purpose of life, not working hard. We should find that reason to rejoice the moment. And when I'm saying happy, it does not mean absence of problems. Happy means your capability to do your best in the worst of circumstances. Now, many times when you will go back to your home and people say, "Acha, yoga institute wala bacha aa gaya," everything he'll say, meditation karo, deep breathing karo. When I'm sad, when I'm hurt, how can I be cheerful? How can I do all this? That time you tell them, see, whatever circumstance you are in, if you make yourself feel better, good, if you're feeling good, you will be in a situation to make decisions to come out of these worst circumstances much better and much faster. Do you agree with me or not? Yes? So what is the model that I'm proposing? What is happiness mindset on which this corporate happiness model is based? That we need to enjoy every moment of life. This is what life is made for. Because when we enjoy everything we are doing, we are not in survival stress mode. We don't just work hard, we work smart. So far, people have been telling you there's no alternative for working hard. It is work smart. And when you're happy, automatically, if you have done some research, if not, that's another topic of research that somebody can pick. When we are in a positive mindset, our brain neurologically is more divergent. That means it can come out with more ideas, better ideas, breakthrough ideas. Because when we are stressed, our mind is thinking convergently, only thinking about how to get out of this situation and survive. So when we are happy, we are more innovative, neurologically proven. So now you can see how you can trigger with all the techniques you are learning in S-VYASA, how you can trigger living happy, and that is going to make people more productive, more innovative. And if you are living happy and being productive, doing smart work, the outcome is going to be experience of success. Now I want you to look at this equation that I'm sharing here. In the first equation, cause is working hard and achieving success. Effect is happiness. That never happens. In the second equation, if we can put ourselves in positive frame of mind, utilizing all the tools and techniques you are learning, that makes us more innovative, and success will become an experience we'll keep having. And even if that defined success does not happen, anyway you are living a happy life. Think about this. See, we are divided by nations, regions, religions, cultures, languages. These are dividing us. But can you guess what is that one thing that just unites the whole humanity? What is that one thing? And since it's a shorter session, I'm not going to do a workshop kind of asking questions, but seeding that thought in your mind. What are we united by? You know what it is? This book kind of triggered my thought towards this dimension of happiness. Book by Dalai Lama. And the first page that I by chance opened said, I believe that the very purpose of our life is to seek happiness. We all are seeking better in life. So I think the very motion of our life is towards happiness. I said, wow. I was looking for what is that I'm seeking in life. I was trying to find out how to motivate my team members, not for just 3 months, 6 months. What is the root cause of motivation? What makes me do what I'm doing? As a leader, as a business person, I need to know that. And then I started getting these indications that maybe is it happiness that I'm looking for always? Then Paramahansa Yogananda's thought, mankind is engaged in an eternal quest for that something else he hopes will bring him happiness, complete and unending. Now, in the Western philosophy also, if you see what Socrates says, happiness is the final and self-sufficient reason for human action in life. It is the whole aim that leaves nothing more to be desired. To the extent that a country like Bhutan amended their constitution, done by a very visionary king, who said, if the government cannot create happiness for the people, there is no purpose for the government to exist. Just imagine. And that visionary king of Bhutan, Jigme Singhe Wanchuk, he said, for a country like Bhutan, and same thing is true for India also, if we are just measuring GDP as our growth number, we are not including 50% of the people who are below the poverty line. They don't have food to eat. And we are saying we went from 6% to 8%. He said, for a country that is cultural and spiritual in nature, when we measure happiness, that measures the strength of the cultural fiber and what we are as a nation. I think same is true for India also. And they started a phenomenal concept called Gross National Happiness Index, GNHI, that we will not measure ourselves based on the capitalistic countries' measurement methods of GDP. We are going to measure ourselves how happy our people are. Now, why is this important? Happiness is a fantastic topic because you all have come from your families and parents would be so concerned, worried about you. Same thing if I'm sending my daughter to a college or a new job. Parents will ask you 100 questions. Is the college okay? Food okay? Sleeping arrangement okay? You have fan, room is okay, classrooms are okay, teachers are okay. They can ask you 100 questions or they can ask you one question. Beta, you have gone to S-VYASA, are you happy? Correct, na? In one question, you will either say yes, happy, that means they'll be all satisfied. Because questions they are asking are not relevant to you. You were, अरे ये बताओ कि internet access है, Wi-Fi तेज चलता है कि नहीं चलता है, मेरे friends हैं कि नहीं है. Those are important things for you. So when they ask you, are you happy? And you think about your parameters and you say yes, they are also happy, you are also happy. If you say no, now is an opportunity to find out why. And then we figure out what are the challenges in any environment. That's why this whole concept of happiness index is very, very important. So what are we united by? One thing. Why do we do what we do? Why any human being does anything? Why are you sitting here? If I ask you 4 whys, 5 whys, you will say, we came here because we wanted to learn something. Why? That will make us learn, grow. Why? Because that will make us a successful human being. Why? I'll make more money. Why? I'll take care of my family. Why? What do you mean by why? It'll make me happy. Doesn't matter where you start. If I keep asking you why, in the end you'll say, because I want to live a happy, contented, peaceful life, right? That's why this happiness index is a very important parameter that we should measure. It is happiness. Pursuit of anymore. Harvard University has done a two-year long. If an environment in a corporate institution for that matter promotes happiness, mental well-being, then these are the benefits. Productivity 31%, sales performance increases, better dynamics, creativity, employee engagement is better, optimists perform 56%. Now you are related with health domain. Let me tell you what this study, it's called Happiness Advantage Project. You can search. It says that a doctor, if he or she is feeling good, is 3 times more creative or intelligent in the diagnostic that day. And 19% better patient outcome just because the doctor was feeling happy. 19% in medicine is pretty high, I guess. 1 in 5 will get benefited more than he or she would have benefited otherwise. That's the power of creating a happy environment. Now, of course, the question that you might have that I want to address in the end, can happiness be engineered? Now, this is where my challenge started with the traditional way of thinking of happiness in India. Because we say Satchitananda, happiness is within, just realize it. And as youngster, or when we are going through life turbulences, we can keep closing our eyes, but not easy to realize that happiness within. I wanted to create a systematic plan. I know I cannot make you happy because happiness is a feeling. But I wanted to create a systematic plan so that probability that you will experience happiness in your life, that probability would be higher. So I want to nurture something. So I have control in my hand to do something that can make my life happier than it is today. And hopefully, by migrating from happy to happier, 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 one day I'll reach that level, start realizing my inner happiness, and I'll not need anything extra. But this is kind of a transformation in between plan that I wanted to share with the world, especially in my corporate world or with youngsters like you. So answer is yes. Put some science behind it. There's this very popular researcher. She has Sojna Lubransky. She has written a book called How of Happiness. And after 2 years plus of research and thousands of subjects monitored, she says that 50% of your happiness is genetic, how you are born, what kind of genetics you carry. But rest of the 50%, 10% is about your circumstances in life. Somebody gets into accident, feels very bad. Somebody gets a lottery, feels very happy. But she says after 1 year, both will feel the same. But 40% is all about our internal state of. That's where all of you are also targeting, right? With meditation, mindfulness. That means we can control happiness experiences in our life. At least we have 40% control. Okay? So we can work hard to be happier. There's a way that we don't have to wait for happiness to come to us. We can design certain areas of our life to feel happy. So there are things we can do to become happier, but most of the goals we think will make us happy don't really make us happy. Challenge. Like if I'm asking this, what do you think makes us happy? First thing comes to our mind is money. Okay, let's see what money does. Do you recognize all these 4 people? Choksi, unfortunately, CCD owner, Mr. Siddhartha, and then Flipkart CEO, who was, his wife actually sued him for abuse, and then Ichr, Mr. Malia. If money was bringing happiness, then look at the smile on those people and look at them. I think when money becomes the criteria for happiness, we have to think of this picture. The other thing I want to share with you is that after a lot of research, it is found that we are never happy with what we have in terms of money. We always want 1.5 times more. So I'll say, if I have 50 lakh rupees, I'll be very happy. The moment I have 50 lakh, I'll start thinking of 75 lakhs. I just wanted to present money as one of the cases. I'll not present a whole lot of slides because money comes to our mind first. Money makes us happy. And the second realization is that money is a motivator until certain point. In US, around $75,000. After that, people do not get positive outcomes or well-being because of money. In India, that amount tends to be something like 7 to 10 lakh rupees. If you're getting that much money, after that, money does not become a very strong motivator. And a study that was conducted by UN, 43 of the 125 countries, when their GDP went up, actually happiness scores came down. Another variation that happiness. So what am I talking about? What is that corporate happiness index I'm talking about? Yes. Yeah, they gave me 5 minutes, Chit. So what are those 8 dimensions? These are the 8 dimensions. I have mapped it to happiness, healthy body and mind, amicable relations, purposeful life, pursuit of excellence, inter-role harmony, needful prosperity, effective time management, and stress management. If these 8 dimensions of life are nurtured, So this was that quantitative research where we went out and talked to thousands of professionals and asked them, when you say I want to be happy, what do you mean? And this is what came out as an outcome. If these 8 dimensions, healthy mind and body, relationship, purposeful life, and others are nurtured well, we tend to live happy. And if we are happy, we are more productive, we are more peak performing. Health, relationship, purpose, and stress, they are also interrelated. If you are healthy mentally and physically, other things also are positively affected. If you have stress in life or health problems, it causes stress, stress causes health problem. And both of them together cause relationship problem. So please think about these 4 especially: healthy body and mind, amicable relationship, purpose, and stress management. It was this whole idea of how the index would be calculated. Everybody will score their emotions scale 1 to 7, and that index collectively will become corporate happiness index. And then we will map it, and then we will also have an intervention program to enhance that index from where it is to the next level. This is the program that I'm conducting for corporates now. It's called Engineering Happiness Program. So you can also think about it. So whole idea is that you spend your time, energy, and attention, whatever you want to grow in life. And those 8 dimensions, wherever you have more deficit, you start putting more time, energy, and attention. Okay, so I'm just going to, these are all slides and research trying to tell you that if you're happy, you are more productive. If you're more productive, life becomes beautiful. One thing I just want to leave you with as last thought. Those of you who are already in workforce, we say either you work, you do what you love, or you start loving what you do. You do what you love. Many of us do not have that freedom. So how do you start loving what you are doing? That's by understanding what your strengths are. And when you bring your strengths to work, it creates experience of joy and your productivity increases. Meditation enhances positive emotion. Positive emotion, as you saw, enhance your performance. So once again, whether it is corporate, academia, or you as a student, if you are living with the positive emotions, you are going to be more effective. In conclusion, this is what I'm saying. The framework proposed based on the findings of cross-domain research offers a systematic program to promote corporate happiness and policy. What all of you can do, whether you're a researcher or this model, because I'm applying it to the corporate, positive results, but a research has not been conducted to say that this index has been measured to create specific impact. If anybody is interested, I'll be very happy to share all this and take this as a research project. Second part, the same like corporate happiness index, I would love to have this as a student happiness index kind of research in academia as well. We live these 3 lives: pleasure life, pleasant life, good life, and meaningful life. So I started my conversation that my life change started when I started pursuit of happiness. And this thought came that I have to move to significance. Now that I've experienced that journey, success to significance, and pursuit of happiness, I've come to realize that life is not about pursuit of happiness. Life is about happiness in enjoy whatever you are doing. For me, talking to you, sharing this with you, triggering your inner awesomeness, and making you best version of yourself is my passion that brings best out of me. I hope I was able to do that today. If you want to reach out to me, you have to run with me DNB. arunb@arunb.com, and that's my website. Thank you very much, and thanks to Dr. Soumya. She is actually the foundation stone on which this research was conducted. We have had so many discussions because I came from management world, and I did not have much experience of humanities or social sciences. The fact that I'm able to stand here and talk about happiness, that journey started with Dr. Soumya. So thank you very much for having me here. And I hope you inspire many of them like this.
Please happiness is not based upon what we don't have. So sir said it is about even when you don't have something, how you be. So what we think, how we choose decides our personality. It is about personal reality to personality. And through yoga and meditation, how to happen, you have explained this, sir. It was a heart-touching session for me, especially. Thank you for it, sir. I now request Professor Ramdev, sir, to felicitate Dr. Arun Bharadwaj, sir, as a token of appreciation and love. Okay. Please be seated. Our next speaker for today is Dr. Sangeetha Menon, Dean, School of Humanities, Professor and Head, NIAS Consciousness Studies Program, Indian Institute of Science Campus, Bangalore. She is also the member of National Task Force for Cognitive Science Research Initiative, also the Academic Council member, the University of Transdisciplinary Health Sciences and Technology, Bangalore. Advisor for National Advisory Committee, IIT Kanpur, for the Interdisciplinary Program in Cognitive Sciences. Advisory Council member for the METI International, San Francisco. Honorary Fellowship, College of Humanities, University of Exeter, UK. I welcome you, ma'am. Namaste.
All right, namaste. I can't see anybody. So I'm assuming that's an audience there. And the front row would have a very honorable person, Ichr, and all the other dignitaries from S-VYASA, Dr. Soumya, Dr. Chudamani Nandagopal, and many others perhaps must be sitting there in the audience, and I visualize that. Feel sorry that I couldn't come over there, but very happy that I could at least interact with all of you through this online media. And first of all, many thanks for Dr. Soumya for inviting me, and she and I have a friendship that goes for a long time, and her invite is something that I cannot decline, and I'm always very happy. So give me an indication that you are able to see me or listen to me, because I don't get any feedback. All right, great. So this is almost like one way. You can see me, I can't see you, but that's fine, I guess. I will assume that I visualize the audience and try to speak. Namaste once again. Thank you so much. I think that helps. I know that there's audience there. Yeah, if you can just keep the laptop facing the audience, so at least I can see the audience. Is that okay? You're yeah, thank you. All right, can I continue? Should I wait for a few more minutes till the arrangement is over? Namaste, Dr. Soumya. Yeah, I hope you said what I said. Who is that? Oh, all right. Okay, I haven't met them, but namaste to you, the names you mentioned. All right. It's always a beautiful place to come in, and this is a place I have visited earlier. Also, it's a very beautiful gallery, so I can visualize now a bit more better. I'm sure the discussions yesterday and today morning is going in a very excited manner, and all of you are really enjoying and participating in the same. Well, we live in a time frame where healing is the most important word for all of us today, and it is something which occupies all of our minds and bodies and our being as a whole as we travel our life journey through this epidemic time. And I called it epidemic, perhaps thinking that now the pandemic will come down and will assume a status which is less alarming to us. And once again, my many thanks to all the elders, dignitaries, teachers, friends, and students there. Some of which share with you perhaps are ideas which you already know, but I also wanted to put it in the perspective of some of the discussions going in cognitive sciences so that we also have an interdisciplinary approach and engagement to what we are discussing. But to give an introduction itself, and I know that for many of you, or almost all of you, perhaps that introduction is not required, but yet. You know that the 4 chapters of the Yoga Sutras discuss meditation, the steps to yoga, attainment of psychic powers called as Siddhi, and the nature of Kaivalya, which is the final outcome of yoga. Now, through the 4 chapters, Patanjali brings forth the importance of the experience of the body as a wholesome phenomenon, intricately connected with the mind, mental processes, and even psychosocial aspects. The body-mind is an organism, according to yoga psychology, and is itself a mini world. And because of this, the world outside is a reflection of the world inside. The world happens within you. And the body is an unstable equilibrium, constantly adjusting to the environment and trying to attain a certain sense of pause and calm. And Patanjali Maharshi thoroughly analyzes the different modifications of the mind and how such modifications can even be restrained and even transcended. Now, one of the very important aspects we find in the Yoga Sutra, and some of the ideas which I'm sharing with you are already published, and I can give you some of my papers, which gives you a detail of it. So, if you look at Yoga Sutras, one of the ideas which is very prominent is self-reflection, and also a trajectory from body to experience. Now, self-reflection is awareness about one's mental states in the context of collective awareness of the continuing personal identity, and it's filled by memories, beliefs, and worldviews. Now, entails complex processes that are facilitated by a prior self-awareness. And Patanjali's system of Ashtanga Yoga, or the eightfold path that we know, which consists of Yama, Nema, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi, is an organic and integral model which covers the social, emotional, and the personal world of the individual. The object of yoga is to divest the mind of all its impurities so that the stream of consciousness is clear as a crystal capable of reflecting the whole reality. And Yama is a set of values to be practiced, which you would know includes non-violence, truthfulness, not stealing, celibacy, and non-possession. These values are universal great disciplines, regardless of caste, country, time, and occasion. The idea behind these values is that the practitioner of these values will be able to cultivate a calm mind, and in the presence of a contemplative person, the mind of a disturbed person will also be quietened. And it's very, very interesting and important that we focus on these ultimate aims of yoga. The practice of truthfulness leads to successful outcomes. When one is established in continence, there is a gain of energy. When one is established in non-possession, knowledge of past lives arise, according to Patanjali. And it is to be particularly noticed here that in the practice, the set of values is the first step of Yama, is intended to lead to a mental calm and also the ability to reflect upon past experiences. The second set of practices, which are clubbed under Niyama, they require more of the involvement of the person and what is called as self-recognition. These are observances such as cleanliness, contentment, discipline, self-study, and surrender to a higher power. As a result of the practice of cleanliness, one can detach from one's body and can avoid association with other bodies. As a result of the practice of purity of mind, what is attained is cheerfulness, saumanasyam, one-pointedness, aigagriyam, mastery of senses, indriya jayam, and atma darshana yogatvam, which is fitness for self-perception. And when one is contented, one gains incomparable joy. An important and more widely known component of the Eightfold Yoga is asana, and almost all of you sitting there would be practicing yoga, I'm sure. Asana means a right posture which is firm and comfortable, sthiram sukham. The commonly recommended postures are Padmasanam, Virasana, Bhadrasana, Sukhasanam, and Shavasana. As a result of the mastery of postures, one gains mastery over the binaries in experiences and will be unaffected by the pairs of the opposites. The fourth limb of yoga is pranayama, control of breath by the holding of breath after inhaling and holding breath after exhaling. And most of the benefits of pranayama is also having medical implications. And I'm sure S-VYASA would have a lot to say because they're engaged in such research. Through the practice of pratyahara, when mind is detached from the objects, following the detached nature of mind, sense organs also naturally withdraw. Then there is what is called the supreme control over sensory and motor organs. The limbs of pranayama and pratyahara together gives the benefit of better self-perception and the sense of control over one's sensory organs and motor organs, and thus strengthening authorship and ownership in one's sense of agency. Now, coming to agency, this is something again very important in the study of Yoga Sutras and in the context of cognitive sciences. Patanjali Yoga Sutra's approach to mind, body, and the self is important in the context of the current discussions on agency. Typically, agency is contended to be the capacity to perform an action. Agency implies an agent intending and owning an action. Well, you know that discussions in both biology and ancient Greek philosophy attribute agency to not only just human beings, but also other animals and sometimes even other inanimate objects. Now, the question is, can agency be just a capability to express one's existence? Or does it involve the nuanced power to be aware of oneself, to be rational, to have a theory of mind, and through self-reflection, correct one's course of action? Another very important idea discussed in the Yoga Sutra throughout is the complex engagement with body. Now, a mechanized notion of the body often leads to the use of thought experiments such as rubber hand illusions to hastily conclude that the body prescriptions we hold can be erroneous. And this is what I refer to some of the experiments in cognitive sciences. Now, the attempts to negate the defined intuitions we have about one's body, a continuation of the classical philosophical approach to either deny the reality of the body or to posit the existence of a non-material subject. Beyond the emphasis of the classical divide between the body and the non-material, thought experiments attempt to demonstrate that the fringes of our body notions highlight the non-existence of a continuous agent and owner of the body, namely the self. Now, it's also important to understand from the cognitive science point of view that the meaning for the body emerges from its undeniable relation with action. And action is not possible without a body in the physical world. In that sense, the body is that which holds, initiates, and oversees the cause of an action and the beholder of the agent. Now, the complexity in the construction of agency is also the result of the lack of phenomenological and ontological richness in the conceptualization of the self and the self. And this we particularly understand when we go through the idea of self and agency as Maharishi Patanjali engages with in the Yoga Sutras. I think I may have only 10 more minutes, so I'll perhaps make it shorter. When on one side, agency posits the space for experimentation in order to understand the minimal nature of a selfhood, on the other, it raises fundamental questions on free will, choice making, and responsibility. And there are many cognitive scientists and philosophers who explain the idea by differentiating two kinds of I thoughts that use different notions of the self. And in self-recognition, which involves acts like grasping a glass of water, the sense of agency involves the notion of a minimal self, which is instantaneous. It carries only a small amount of information, such as I am grasping a glass. But recognizing one's image in the mirror depends on recognitional criteria that allows one to re-identify oneself through time. Hence, recognition of self as richer content and could explain personal identity. The same argument can also be extended to demonstrate how body image disruptions caused by rubber hand illusion experiments cannot be an instance for deducing the absence of a coherent self. Now, these discussions on agency and ownership is also very subtly conveyed through the concepts of bodily pains and mental planes in the Yoga Sutras. The Yoga Sutras approach to consciousness is important in the background of the above discussion on self-recognition, and self-reflection. The Yoga Sutras theory is based on a model that integrates, as I mentioned earlier, various emotional, cognitive, and social aspects of the agency, and most importantly, with the purpose of transforming the agent or gaining positive experiences. And consciousness sustains the triad of objective discreteness without being a part of the triad. The Chitta concept of yoga corresponds to the Antakarana concept of Vedanta and includes manas, which is of more of a mental nature, buddhi, which is more of a cognitive nature, and ahankara, which is of more of an agentive nature. The basic philosophy is that when the modifications of the Chitta are restrained, the subject abides in its true nature. Chitta, though for linguistic ease is translated as mind, is much more than the mental and emotive content. From the various structures and typologies that Patanjali uses, we can understand that Chitta is a term that houses collective features of an individual that pertain to his or her existential, phenomenological, pragmatic, ethical, psychological, and spiritual aspects. Thus, the Yoga Sutra's concept of Chitta cannot be translated to the concept of mind alone as we understand it, cognitive sciences. The yoga philosophy enunciates that when the modifications of Chitta are restrained, the individual abides in his or her true nature. In fact, the restrained Chitta, grounded on the space of the core self, will not be distracted by thoughts, sensations, or memories. And when there is no restraint, Chitta identifies with modifications and not pure consciousness. As you would know, that is very clearly said in Yoga Sutra 1.3, Tada Drishtuhu Swarupe Avasthana, and Vritti Sarubhyam Itaratra 1.4. Now, according to Patanjali and his yoga philosophy, the mind is a complex entity, and this is something which we have to very clearly understand. And it is not the mind which we have talked about just in Western philosophy, or many other perhaps Eastern philosophies also, only of a material nature. According to Patanjali, mind has several planes that relate to the physical and the social world. The psychological phenomena are conditioned by 5 levels. And in his commentary to the second sutra of Patanjali, Vyasa talks about Chitta Bhumaya, the 5 levels of Chitta. It's very, very important. What is talked about are the Chitta, or the unstable level of mind, confused and obscure, distract, which is stable and unstable, attentive, attention fixed on a single point, or absorbed, niruddha. All psychological activities and mental states happen within the larger space of the 5 levels of Chitta, which is Chitta Bhumi. Now, the Chitta that is in its earlier stage of disturbance, Chitta, lacks judgment and is generally hyperactive, unable to ignore external stimuli. And the next stage of the confused state of Chitta is marked by inertia, lethargy, sluggishness, a vicious nature of thinking, ignorance, and sleep. The state of distraction, which is vikshipta, is an advanced stage of the kshiptam, plane of Chitta. And in this level, the mind lacks stability and is unable to self-reflect. And another very important concept of Patanjali's yoga psychology, as you would know, is klesha, a complex notion of pain that is built around not only physical but also existential and ontological aspects of the individual. Klesha causes mind modifications that are pleasurable, klishtarati, or unpleasant, aklishtarati. And klesha is not an antonym of pleasure, but is suffering in the technical sense. And it's very important to also study Patanjali's discussion of the 5 dimensions of pain, which is in the second chapter. And he talks about the limitations of the Chitta system as to be collectively addressed as klesha. And there are more details which I'm hoping you will go through if you have not done, and I can share some of my papers as well. The klesha set of pains is 5 in number, which is ignorance, avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, and abhinivesha. And of the last 5, self-ignorance holds a significant place since the rest of the klesha are founded on it. Now, there's also a philosophical basis of pain and a way out, which Patanjali Maharshi explains. Now, the inability to distinguish between the seer and the seeing, the experiencer and the experienced, gives rise to the existential disposition of affinity towards certain objects and people, and non-affinity towards others, raga and dvesha. And it is very interesting to know that abhinivesha is primarily the deep-rooted and compulsive attachment to body, which is present even amongst all of us scholars, according to Patanjali. None of us are, saved from that possibility. And all the 5 afflictions constitute pain and suffering. Now, is there a way out from the pain that seems to be the defining aspect of living? According to the Yoga Sutras, the river called Chitta flows in 2 directions. And you would know this, what I just said comes from 1.12, the Yoga Bhashya. And please go into it, it's a beautiful description. And Vyasa comments on this sutra, giving 2 steps for the restraint of mind, abhyasa and vairagya. And with the help of an allegorical style, Vyasa describes the twin possibility hidden in mind. When it is borne onward to kaivalya, downward towards discrimination, then it is flowing unto good. When it is borne onward to the whirlpool of existence, downward towards non-discrimination, then it is flowing unto evil. In these cases, the stream towards objects is damped by passionlessness, and the stream towards discrimination as its floodgates opened by practice in discriminatory knowledge. Now, I'm quoting the work of Woods, and some of these descriptions could be a little perhaps ambiguous, but passionlessness need not be understood as lack of interest, but perhaps a sense of detachment by being highly active and engaged with a particular activity. Now, I think it's also important to discuss the 4 features of self-reflection when we study Yoga Sutras. And these four features, again, are very central to understanding certain deeper aspects of self-reflection. But I don't know how much time we do have, but I will, in brief, go through that. The practice of self-reflection leads to the experiential distinction between self and the other, and it involves two features, according to yoga psychology, which is vitarka and vichara. Can self-reflection aid in responding to negative thoughts and attitudes that can lead to violent thoughts and deeds and will produce infinite pain? Negative thoughts, emotions such as loss of violence, whether they are done, caused to be done, or abetted, whether caused by greed, danger, or delusion, whether present in mild, medium, or intense degree, or result in endless pain and ignorance. Now, yoga practice includes philosophical reflection, which is vitarka, upon objects of the outside world, vishaya, and introspection, vichara, upon objects of inner world. And it is at this stage we see the discussions on different forms of samadhi, such as asamprajnat samadhi, pratibhaksha bhavana, pratiprasavam, and so on, which are very important to understand how klesha is engaged with by Patanjali Maharshi. Now, one of the features of self-reflection is contentful experience, and this can be understood from the discussion on the techniques of yoga. And there are various techniques given in the Yoga Sutra, and they're meant for both the beginner and the advanced person for restraining the modifications of mind. And I'm sure you will go through that when you have time. Now, yoga psychology and its phenomenology, I think, offers the concept of self-reflection, which suggests a regime of techniques that connects and integrates the body, the mind, values and attitudes, and experiences. This study helps us to highlight that many aspects of the experiencing self that we consider in our daily lives, according to Patanjali, belong to the Chitta system. Thus, the mainstream notion of mind is extended by going beyond the cognitive frameworks and enriching with several personal features. The practice of self-reflection is not dissociated from the core self, and at the same time, it's contextualized in the space of the experiential world of the practitioner. Thus, the experience of the self is not an abstraction from experiential world, but a reassurance and a rehumanization of one's identity, connecting the body and the mind with the psychosocial world in which one lives. Now, it's very important also to remember that when we talk about a living world, we are talking about a creative person, our ability to engage with creative enterprises. And such enterprises can make us think very differently, perhaps what they call as out-of-box thinking and non-lateral thinking, and perhaps an organic thinking, and basically bringing in a multisensorial perspective in thinking itself. And this is very different from what we have understood the mind to be, just as a material organ or just composed of thoughts. So I think it's very important that when someone like Dr. Soumya, who is also an artist and an accomplished creative person in her own self, is there, that we can engage yoga and its many aspects in the context of creativity and our creative expressions as well, which finally results in healing. Thank you.
It was a pleasure listening to you, and really, I think we have to go back inside and understand much of it. Over to you, Ramdev, for his remarks.
Today is our seminar. In the morning session, we had two lectures. One is from Arun Bharadwaj and second one is Sangeetha Menon. Dr. Bharadwaj has stressed their views on corporate happiness because the main problem of the society is to achieve happiness. How to achieve happiness? The various dimensions of happiness has been mentioned by Bharadwaj. And secondly, it was also mentioned and analyzed that the people is not living in the society or the world for struggling for existence, but the ultimate goal and target of people is to achieve happiness. How the happiness comes, it's depend time to time, person to person, and society to society. As for almost the first time, the Bhutan has given the concept of social happiness, and as he mentioned, that if the government is not in a position to provide the happiness to the people, there is no meaning of being government. But if we see the happiness index, we calculate only that economy, society, power, science, technology, which help us to develop ourselves. But indeed, the happiness is just not only in a materialistic society, it comes from inside the people and inside our soul. Therefore, it is mentioned that the least happiest country in the world is Afghanistan, and one of the most happiest country in the world which has been reflected is the Denmark, Netherlands, and Switzerland. Their criteria is different. Once I remember that Jeremy Bentham said, it is better to be a human being satisfied than a pig satisfied. So, all these external things cannot fully satisfy and make happy to the society. And the goal of India, as is Mahatma Gandhi and Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay, is Antyodaya. Until the last, the people is happy in our society in India. We cannot rest till that. So this is the target and goal of Indian government and setup. Secondly, the lecture is totally devoted by Sangeetha Menon on Yoga Sutra. He said the modification of mind is really changed the entire attitude and the behavior of the people. How to modify our mind, this depends upon your Chitta. Chitta cannot be translated, cannot be explained, and cannot be inspired to other. But sometimes many yogis in India have explained their experiences while when he go in a Chitta, then it is said. Therefore, we can divert the mind to the people and self-reflection also. We realized why the people योगी की कथा अमृत योगानंद जी की जो बुक है, it has clearly mentioned the entire journey of how they enter in Chitta and what they feel and seen over there. And the same the Yogananda ji and Muktananda, a book, has also given this. Our university, S-VYASA University, is also involved in performing yoga by developing sort of habits, changing behavior, ethics of mind, and their positive attitude in our society. Thank you very much to the speaker who have spared some of the time to share their views. They are really valuable, and students can learn much more and convert herself as a real being of society and the country make strong. Thank you.